Hi, my name's Caroline Weir. My passion is executing strategy. I've spent 20 years working in many organizations, both as a management consultant and in in-house strategy roles, focusing on how you translate strategy into delivery. I've worked in a variety of organizations, including banking, professional services, and most recently at ASX as General Manager of Enterprise Strategy and Transformation. So today I'm here to share my learnings and the 5 simple steps that I think are most important when considering how you translate strategy into execution. Strategy without execution is just wishful thinking. Welcome to today's video, where we'll dive into one of the most common and costly gaps in business: the disconnect between strategy and execution. Whether you're a business leader, a transformational professional, or just about driving impact, this is relevant to you. I'll walk through 5 practical steps to bridge that gap, so your strategy isn't just a beautiful PowerPoint that occasionally gets referenced, but actually delivers real, measurable value. The 5 steps that we will cover today are: 1, how to set a clear, measurable strategy anchored in outcomes. 2, how to build the scaffolding to the BUs or the teams actually delivering the work. 3, how to align individual outcomes for traction at every level. 4, how to break down the work and plan with purpose. And 5, finally, how to create a golden thread from the BU to the boardroom through transparent, aligned, and effective governance. Let's get into it. Step 1 is about setting a clear and measurable strategy that's easy to communicate. And this is where many organizations stumble right out of the gate. Too often, strategy is written in broad aspirational language like become a market leader or drive innovation. While admirable, they're not specific enough to drive action. A strong strategy answers 3 key questions. 1, why does this matter? This is your purpose, your fundamental and unique reason why you exist and aspire to exist. 2, what are we trying to achieve and how will we know what success looks like? This should be articulated in your vision. And finally, 3, how will we know if we're making progress? And it's in step 3 that outcomes come in. We've all heard about the need to be outcomes focused. If there's one piece of advice I could give any organization, it is to prioritize this shift. If you're currently focusing on and measuring activity, stop. Shift to thinking in outcomes. This means focusing on the value that's delivered to your shareholders, to your customers, to your people, to your regulators, or whomever it is that you exist for and that is relevant to your ambition. To use a relatable example, let's think about a New Year's resolution. An activity-based resolution would be to get to the gym more. You might measure this through setting a target of going to the gym 3, 4, or even 5 times a week. But as you get into Q2 and the daily gym visits have become a grind, you may question why you even set yourself this resolution in the first place. Let's reconsider this. How about a resolution of improve my cardiovascular fitness so that I can run and play with my kids? Your measure might be to play 30 minutes of soccer with them without feeling the need to lie down on the sofa or crack open a beer. This outcome is personal, measurable, and tied to the real-life impact that you care about. This is far more likely to keep you in the game for longer. Being able to articulate clear, value-based measures for your outcomes is a little bit like setting the coordinates for your GPS. If you're not precise, your teams won't know where they're going, let alone how to get there. And at the end of the day, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, and you certainly can't execute it. Once you've defined a measurable and clear strategy, the next step is to build the scaffolding that connects that enterprise-level ambition to the people who actually deliver it. This is where many strategies stall. They stay stuck at that executive level, disconnected from the day-to-day work that is happening across the organisation. What is needed is a deliberate approach to cascading the strategy through outcomes, not tasks, not projects, but clearly defined outcomes that each BU or team can own or influence. This means translating top-level strategy into tangible goals for each area of the business in a language they understand and that they can act on. It's about giving every team line of sight into how their work contributes to the bigger picture. Every organisation will do this differently, but at the highest level, it's about translating enterprise outcomes and measures into BU-specific strategy and measures. Typically, this would be aligned to a medium-term horizon, maybe a couple of years. Once this is set, it's time to start breaking down the work. Annual planning is your friend here. This is about breaking down those strategic medium-term outcomes and measures into in-year outcomes and measures specific to a team or a BU. Underpinning these outcomes is an articulation of the how, i.e. the work that's going on to deliver those in-year outcomes. In a more project-oriented environment, these may be projects, or in an agile environment, these may be initiatives or epics. Importantly, the delivery of this work is aligned to your annual budget or your persistent funding envelope. The value-based measures that you set yourself for the year will be aligned to the work you're delivering and anchored in the broader strategic measures, i.e. these should be the stepping stones to getting to the bigger prize. With strategy now cascaded to the business unit or team level, the next step is to link to individual outcomes. Because strategy doesn't execute itself, people do. This is where true alignment happens. Every single person in your organisation should be able to answer one simple but powerful question. How does my work contribute to our strategy? By translating enterprise strategy into BU outcomes and then into individual outcomes, you create a clear line of sight from each employee to the overall direction of the organisation. This is not about creating more KPIs. It's about connecting the dots between what people do every single day and the outcomes that matter most. When individuals understand their role in delivering the strategy, you unlock motivation, focus, and accountability. And, just as importantly, it gives leaders a clearer view on who is moving the dial and where support or course correction might be needed. With aligned outcomes in place, it's time to break down the work and plan effectively, because even the best strategies will fail without clear and coordinated execution. This step is all about turning strategic intent into actionable plans. It's where high-level ambition meets practical delivery. Through annual planning, we have an idea of what we'll achieve in a given year to deliver on our broader strategy. We know the high-level work that will get us there, and we've got a good understanding of our priorities and roughly when they might be sequenced across the year. To support this, we need an enterprise rhythm of planning that balances agility with accountability, long-term clarity paired with short-term focus. Quarterly or even monthly cadences help teams stay responsive to change while staying anchored to the strategic direction. Quarterly or monthly planning translates your high-level work into the specific work that will be done in the quarter or month to deliver on the annual outcomes. This means detailed sequencing that's prioritised for impact, appropriate capacity allocation, and a granular understanding of dependencies. In the case of the latter, no team works in isolation. It's critical to continually identify and manage interconnections between teams before they become blockers. Importantly, quarterly or monthly planning needs to be done by the people who are doing the work. This is not a moment for the executives to direct or even get involved, unless, of course, to resolve a blocker or escalation. Execution is where strategy succeeds or fails. So investing in setting up disciplined, inclusive, and transparent planning processes for your organisation is non-negotiable. The final step is to create a golden thread from BU execution all the way to the boardroom. And the key to this, transparent, fit-for-purpose governance. Governance often gets a bad rap, seen as slow or bureaucratic, but when done right, it's a powerful enabler of strategic success. It's about having the right forums, rhythms, and data flows in place to make timely decisions, track progress, and course correct where needed. Leaders need visibility of what's working and what's not, without wading through layers of noise or hearsay. And at the same time, this is two-way. Teams on the ground need clarity around what matters most, and the confidence that not only is their work connected to the bigger picture, but it's visible and being recognised. Governance will vary between organisations, but at the basic level, regular BU or team reporting on annual plan outcomes and measures should feed up into executive forums. This includes wins, blockers, and escalations. The executive forums should review these in aggregate and also include time for reflection and tracking the execution patterns. Like, where did we go well? What can we do better? This is where quarterly business reviews, QBRs, are really important. They allow time for the executive to consider how overall execution is progressing, and basically just a moment to pause and think about the broader strategy and to sense check that the outcomes and measures we have set ourselves are indeed still the right ones. A great question for QBRs is, do we need to pivot? Is there anything less or more we should be doing in response to our progress and performance? An important input into this question is, of course, the macro environment. QBR is also a time for this, to assess what's going on externally in our markets, with our competitors, our customers, and also to review our strategic emerging risks. Having a direct link between executive QBR and board is important, as if strategic pivots or changes to strategy are considered relevant, it allows for the board to review and approve this, giving the ability to be more agile with strategy. Because guess what? Strategy can change. Creating an effective golden thread for strategy through governance ensures that strategy isn't something that's just done to the business. It's something that's lived and led at every single level. From BU to boardroom, everyone has a role in delivering outcomes and a shared view of what success looks like. So that's it. Strategy to execution in 5 steps. To recap, 1, set a clear, measurable strategy anchored in outcomes. 2, build the scaffolding to the BUs or the teams doing the work through annual planning. 3, cascade individual outcomes to BU and enterprise outcomes for traction at every level. 4, break down the work throughout the year and plan with purpose. 5, finally, create that golden thread from the BU to boardroom through effective governance. Strategy doesn't fail on PowerPoint. It fails in execution. Big visions often get lost in translation on their way to delivery. But when you anchor your strategy in clear outcomes, align teams top to bottom, and break the work down with discipline and focus, you can create real momentum. And this is how strategy gets delivered. Thanks for listening. And of course, thanks so much to Sooner, Safer, Happier for giving me a platform to share my story.